Hey everybody, this week's video is a slow cooker crock-pot beef stew that I made, and it was perfect because the day that I made it, it was super duper cold as we live in Wisconsin, so it was great to come home from work to a nice warm bowl of beef stew, and it's full of fiber and protein and all the delicious flavors that you could think of. So I will link the Pinterest recipe in the description below, and let's get cooking. So here's all my ingredients. I will try to mention them in the video. If not, you can just check the recipe in the description. First thing I did was cut up my meat, and the recipe called for stew meat, but all I had was round steak, so I just cubed that up. And then I added my spices and my flour and then gave it a good stir.
Never forget.
In our house, we never measure garlic. We just eyeball it, and that's because garlic is the superior spice.
Share your love as together you stand.
Now I've added my coconut oil, which is what I use since we don't have regular oil, into my pan and let that heat up. In the meantime, I went ahead and chopped up my onion. So I just had some remnant white onion that I chopped into bite-sized pieces, and then I did the same with my potatoes, and I made sure those were small because my husband prefers if they are on the smaller side. Once my oil was heated up, I cooked the meat in small batches so that the oil didn't lose too much of its heat, and I cooked it until it was browned on all sides, and then I would set it on a plate with a paper towel to drain. And then the next thing I did was chop up my carrots, and those I also do in small bite-sized pieces. Next, after all the meat is cooked, I added butter to my pan to saute the onions so that they are a little caramelized before I added them to my crock pot. And I just made sure that my butter was completely melted over the surface because, as you can see, I had a lot of brown bits stuck to the bottom of my pan. And then I just let my onions soften in the butter.
Hearts beat as one, the two become one.
Now it's time to add everything into your crock pot, so I went ahead and added all my cooked meat that I had drained. As you can see, once I took the paper towel off, I still had some juices flowing, which is good. It means it's not dried out. Then I added my softened and slightly caramelized onions, and I made sure to scrape all of those delicious onions out of my pot. And then once I added the onions, I went ahead and added both the potatoes and carrots that I had chopped up before. And then after that, I add my oregano, which you'll see on the screen later on that it's the recipe called for rosemary, but I didn't have any, and we love oregano anyway, so I just went ahead and added that. And then I added my 2 bay leaves, which that one was broken, so I just didn't count that one. Added 2 bay leaves and some Worcestershire sauce. Does anybody else have problems with that word? Like, is it Worcestershire? Is it Worcestershire? I believe it's Worcestershire. So I added that, and then I went ahead and added my bouillon, which I have the ground up bouillon from Costco, and the recipe also called for broth, which I use this bouillon for, and bouillon cubes, so I just added a little extra, and then tomato paste. And okay, is it not amazing that they sell tomato paste in tubes now? Because I don't know about you, but I never ever used the whole entire can. So now that all that is added, I need to deglaze my onion pan to get all those delicious brown bits off the bottom that add flavor. The rest of the wine I just dumped into my crock pot, and then after everything was deglazed, I scraped all those brown bits and the wine into my crock pot, and then it was time to add the broth, but because I used bouillon, I just add water, and then I gave it a good stir, and then placed it into the heating element part of the crock pot, and I cooked it on high for 4 hours. So one thing that I forgot to add was peas, which was fine because they're not 100% a family favorite of ours. But don't forget to add your peas if you want to incorporate them into yours. And I also forgot to film the cornstarch slurry that you're supposed to put in to thicken it. So I added that before serving, and I just let it cook in the crock pot. I turned it back onto high because my crock pot, once your timer goes off, it goes into warm setting. And that's a great, amazing feature for when I make crock pot meals and they're done before I get home from work. But add it in, turn it back on to high, or keep it on high if yours is still on high. I did like 15-20 minutes, and it thickened up so nicely. Here's our finished product. As you can see, it's nice and thick and delicious. And I really hope you enjoy this recipe, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!